The Great Hall was silent. 847 species from across the galaxy sat in their assigned seats waiting. The chamber was enormous, built from crystal that glowed with soft blue light. It floated in space above a planet called Centrum Prime, a world that belonged to no one and everyone at the same time. Counselor Taman sat in the human section, his dark eyes watching everything. He wore a simple black suit, nothing fancy. Next to him, Ambassador Hyejin adjusted her tablet, scrolling through the morning's agenda. She looked calm, but Taman knew she was worried. The emergency session had been called suddenly, and no one had told them why. Around them, aliens of every shape and size filled the chamber. Some had scales, others had fur, some floated in tanks of liquid, while others stood on 6 legs. The variety was endless, but they all had one thing in common. They were all staring at the center platform. High Chancellor Vrex stood there. He was tall, with a body like an insect covered in green armor-like skin. His multiple eyes blinked in sequence as he raised one claw for silence. "The Council recognizes War Prime Kalthos of the Draxian Empire," Vrex announced, his voice booming through the hall. A massive figure walked to the center. Kalthos was huge, at least 3 meters tall, with red scales and sharp teeth. His people, the Draxians, were known across the galaxy as warriors. They had conquered 40 star systems in the last 2 centuries. When Kalthos moved, his tail scraped against the crystal floor, making a sound like knives being sharpened. Taman felt Hyejin tense beside him. This was not good. Kalthos looked around the chamber slowly, his yellow eyes lingering on the human section. Then he smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "I come before this council to make a declaration," Kalthos said, his voice deep and rough. "The Draxian Empire hereby declares war on the planet Earth and all human colonies." The chamber exploded. Voices shouted in 100 different languages. Some aliens laughed. Others gasped. Taman heard someone behind him whisper, "Are they serious?" Hyejin grabbed Taman's arm. "Stay calm," she whispered. Vrex banged his claw on the podium. "Order! There will be order!" It took several minutes for the noise to die down. Kalthos continued as if nothing had happened. "The humans have committed numerous violations. They expand too quickly into unclaimed space. They refuse to share their military technology with other species. They are unpredictable and dangerous." More laughter echoed through the hall. A small blue alien near the front actually fell out of his seat. He was laughing so hard. "The humans?" someone shouted. "You're going to war with the humans? They've only been in space for 30 years. Another voice added. Kalthos's eyes narrowed. "Mock me now." "But the Draxian Empire has never lost a war. We will add Earth's star system to our collection within 1 standard month." Taman slowly stood up. Every eye in the chamber turned to him. He was not a large man, especially compared to Kalthos, but he stood straight and looked directly at the Draxian leader. "War Prime Kalthos," Taman said, his voice steady. "Are you certain this is what you want?" Kalthos laughed. "Is the prey asking the hunter to reconsider? How amusing." "I am asking you to think carefully," Taman replied. "War is not something to start lightly." "Your species has been in space for barely 3 decades, Kalthos said. "My people have been warriors for 3,000 years. What can you possibly do to stop us?" Taman was quiet for a moment. Then he sat down. Hyejin looked at him with surprise, but he just shook his head slightly. High Chancellor Vrex looked uncomfortable. "This is unprecedented. The Council must vote on intervention." For the next hour, species after species stood to speak. Most thought the whole thing was ridiculous. A few expressed concern, but not for the reasons Taman expected. If the Draxians crushed the humans too quickly, it might make them bolder. One ambassador said. They might attack others next. The humans should be given a chance to surrender before any fighting, another suggested. Surely they will be reasonable. Elder Soren spoke last. He was ancient, a being that looked like floating robes with 2 glowing eyes. His species lived for nearly 1,000 years, and Soren had seen 8 centuries himself. "I have watched many wars," Soren said quietly. "The Draxians are not to be taken lightly. They have destroyed species more advanced than the humans." He turned his glowing eyes toward Taman. "I am sorry." The vote was called. Should the Galactic Council intervene to stop this war? The result was clear. 612 votes for non-interference. Only 93 votes to help humanity. The rest abstained. "The Council has spoken," Vrex announced. This is a matter between the Draxian Empire and Earth. We will not interfere. The session ended. As the chamber emptied, aliens gathered in small groups, talking and laughing. Taman heard them making bets on how long Earth would last. 3 days, one said. No, the humans will surrender immediately when they see the Draxian fleet. Maybe 1 day, and I give them a week. They seem stubborn. Hyejin and Taman walked through the corridors toward their quarters. Neither spoke until they were alone in their rooms. We need to warn Earth immediately, Hyejin said, moving to the communication console. Taman stopped her. They already know. What? Earth knew this was coming 3 months ago, Taman said. Our intelligence intercepted Draxian communications. We've been preparing. Hyejin stared at him. Then why didn't we say something? Why didn't we prepare the council? Would they have listened? Taman asked. You heard them. They think we're weak. They think we're children playing in space. We could have presented evidence. We could have— No, Taman interrupted. The council needed to make a choice. Now they have. When this is over, they'll remember that choice. Hyejin sat down slowly. You sound very confident. I am. Why? Taman walked to the window. Outside, stars filled the darkness of space. Somewhere out there, Earth waited. Home. A small blue planet that most of the galaxy barely noticed. Because they don't understand us, Taman said quietly. They see a species that's only been in space for 30 years and they think we're new to everything. But we're not new to war. We've been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We've built weapons that could destroy our own planet dozens of times over. We've nearly wiped ourselves out 3 times in our history. He turned to look at Hyejin. The Draxians have conquered 40 star systems. We had 40 major conflicts on Earth in the 20th century alone. They think they're warriors? They have no idea what's waiting for them. Hyejin was quiet for a long moment. The council thinks we're going to lose. I know. Should we correct them? Taman smiled, but it was not a happy smile. No, let them watch. Let them see what happens when you underestimate humanity. The lesson will be more valuable that way. In his quarters across the station, War Prime Kalthos celebrated with his officers. They drank and laughed, already planning how to divide Earth's resources. Elder Soren sat alone in his meditation chamber. Something bothered him. The way the human counselor had spoken. The calmness in his voice. Soren had lived a long time and he had learned to recognize danger. And today when Taman had asked if Kalthos was certain, Soren had heard something in his voice. It was not fear. It was a warning. A genuine warning from someone who knew what was about to happen. Soren hoped he was wrong. But he had a terrible feeling that the galaxy was about to learn something new about the humans, something that would change everything. Ambassador Hyejin stood outside the Draxian diplomatic quarters waiting. 2 large guards stood by the door, their red scales gleaming under the station's lights. They looked at her with what she assumed was amusement. It was hard to tell with reptilian faces. I request an audience with War Prime Kalthos, she said again. She had been standing there for 20 minutes. The War Prime does not speak with prey, one guard said. His translator made his voice sound bored. Please, Hyejin said. Just 5 minutes. This is important. The guards looked at each other. Finally, one of them went inside. He returned a moment later and waved her in. The Draxian quarters were hot. Hyejin felt sweat forming immediately. The room was decorated with weapons and banners from their conquered worlds. Kalthos sat in the center eating something that looked disturbingly alive. The human ambassador, Kalthos said. Come to beg? Hyejin walked forward, keeping her face neutral. I came to talk. Government to government. Warrior to warrior, Kalthos laughed. Warrior, you? My grandfather fought in 3 wars on Earth, Hyejin said. My mother was a pilot in our aerospace force. I may be a diplomat now, but I understand war. Then you understand you cannot win, Kalthos said. I understand that war is expensive, Hyejin replied. Even when you win. Your fleet is powerful, yes, but Earth has defenses. You will lose ships. You will lose soldiers. For what? Pride? Kalthos stood up, towering over her. For territory. For resources. For the glory of conquest. The things that matter. We can trade for resources, Hyejin said. We can negotiate territory. There is no need for this. There is every need, Kalthos said. Your species expands too fast. You ask too many questions. You build too many ships. Better to crush you now while you are weak. Hyejin felt her patience slipping. We are not as weak as you think. No? Kaltos moved closer. Your entire fleet is 50 ships. We bring 500. You have one inhabited planet. We control 40 systems. You have been in space for 30 years. We have been conquering for 3,000. Tell me, little human, where is your strength? Heejin looked up at him. I am trying to save your people from a mistake. Please don't do this. Kalthos's eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? It's a warning, Heejin said. There's a difference. Guards, Kalthos called. Show the ambassador out, and tell her people to prepare their surrender. We will be merciful if they bow quickly. Heejin was escorted out. She walked back through the station corridors, her mind racing. She had tried. She had genuinely tried to stop this peacefully. Now it was out of her hands. Meanwhile, in the human section of the station, Counselor Taman received a visitor. Elder Soren floated into the room, his robes shifting like smoke. Counselor Taman, Soren said, may I speak with you? Of course, Elder, Taman said, gesturing to a seat. Soren didn't sit but floated nearby. I came to offer my condolences, Soren said. The Draxians are terrible enemies. In my 800 years, I have seen them destroy 7 species completely. They do not show mercy. I appreciate your concern, Taman said. I also came to offer advice, Soren continued. Surrender quickly. The Council will help negotiate terms. You can keep your planet perhaps if you give up all weapons and agree to Draxian oversight. Taman was quiet for a moment. Elder Soren, may I ask you something? Of course. In your 800 years, have you ever seen the Draxians lose a battle? No, Soren admitted. Never. Then I suppose there's a first time for everything, Taman said calmly. Soren's eyes brightened with surprise. You cannot be serious. I am very serious. Young counselor, I understand pride, but this is suicide. Your people, my people will do what is necessary, Taman interrupted gently. Thank you for your concern, truly. But we will handle this our own way. Soren stared at him for a long moment. Then he floated toward the door. I hope you know what you are doing. So do I, Taman said. On Earth, things were moving quickly. General Una stood in the command center deep beneath the European continent. Screens surrounded her, showing every corner of the solar system. Officers worked at their stations quiet and efficient. Status report, Una said. All civilian populations have reached the shelters. One officer reported. The underground cities are at full capacity. The Mars colonies? Evacuated to the deep stations. They'll be safe. The fleet? Captain Minho reports ready. All 50 ships are in position near Mars orbit. Una nodded. 50 ships? The galaxy thought that was their entire fleet. Let them think that. Activate Protocol Fortress, she ordered. Across the solar system, things began to wake up. In the asteroid belt, thousands of installations powered on. They had been built slowly over 20 years, disguised as mining operations. The Council had never looked closely. Why would they? Humans were new. Humans were harmless. On the moon, beneath the gray dust, massive doors began to open. Weapon systems that had been hidden for decades started their initialization sequences. Near Jupiter, 300 ships that had been powered down and drifting like dead metal suddenly came alive. Admiral Deho sat in the command chair of the flagship watching his screens light up. All ships report ready, Admiral, his second-in-command said. Good, Deho said. Maintain silence. Let them walk into the trap. Back on the station, Heejin returned to their quarters. Taman was packing. We're leaving? She asked. Yes. The Council has ordered all non-essential personnel to evacuate. That includes us. But Earth wants us home, Taman said. We've done our job here. Now we go home and wait. Wait for what? Taman looked at her. Wait to see if everything we've built is enough. They boarded a human transport ship the next morning. As they left the station, Heejin watched through the window. Already the galaxy was reacting to the news. Ships from various species were positioning themselves at safe distances to watch the coming battle. Some had cameras. Others just wanted to see history happen. They're treating this like entertainment, Heejin said bitterly. Can you blame them? Taman asked. To them, this is like watching a lion fight a mouse. The outcome seems obvious. Is it obvious? Taman smiled slightly. We're about to find out. On the flagship of the Draxian fleet, War Prime Kalthos studied the holographic display. It showed Earth's solar system with all known human positions marked in red. So few, so weak, how long to reach Earth? He asked. At full speed, 3 days, his navigator replied. Then we go at full speed, Kalthos ordered. I want this over quickly. The galaxy is watching. They need to see what happens to species that displease the Draxian Empire. His fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. 500 ships, the largest armada the Draxians had assembled in 50 years. They would arrive at Earth's solar system in 3 days. They expected the humans to surrender immediately. Maybe fire a few shots for pride, then give up. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Across the galaxy, betting pools had grown enormous. Thousands of species were placing wagers on how long Earth would last. The most common bet was 3 days. Some optimists said a week. A few pessimists said hours. Only one species didn't bet. The Karathi, an ancient race of philosophers, simply watched in silence. Their leader, an old female named Sina, studied the data carefully. Something is wrong, she told her advisors. Wrong, matriarch? The humans are too calm, Sina said. They were given a chance to evacuate their planet through the council. They refused. They were offered sanctuary on other worlds. They refused. Why? Her advisors had no answer. Either they are the most foolish species we have ever met, Sina continued, or they know something we don't. Back on Earth, in the command center, General Yuna watched the countdown. 3 days until the Draxian fleet arrived. 3 days until the galaxy learned the truth. An officer approached. General, should we send out any final messages? To the council? To our colonies? Yuna shook her head. No. We said everything we needed to say. Now we show them. Show them what, General? Yuna smiled coldly. Show them why you should never corner a species that's been fighting itself for 10,000 years. Show them what happens when you mistake peace for weakness. Show them what humans are really capable of when we stop holding back. The countdown continued. The trap was set. The galaxy watched and waited. The Draxian fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 500 warships materialized in perfect formation, their red hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. On 1,000 worlds, billions of beings watched through live feeds. The show was about to begin. War Prime Kaltho stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical display. Report. One small fleet detected near the 4th planet, his sensor officer said. Approximately 50 vessels. Primitive design, that's all. Kaltho sounded almost disappointed. All sensors show clear, War Prime. No other vessels detected anywhere in the system. Kalthos grunted. They didn't even try to hide. Pathetic. He pointed at the display. Full speed ahead. Crush their fleet, then move on to their homeworld. The massive armada began moving inward past the outer planets. They ignored everything else, focused entirely on Mars where the human fleet waited. Why would they worry about empty space? Their sensors showed nothing but rocks and ice. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of his ship, the Indomitable. Around him, his crew worked quietly. Everyone knew what was coming. Draxian fleet entering weapons range in 10 minutes, Commander Jiwan reported from the tactical station. All ships, battle formation, Minho ordered. Remember the plan? Make them think this is all we have. The human fleet spread out, looking defensive. 50 ships against 500. To anyone watching, the outcome seemed obvious. Several alien commentators on the galactic feeds were already calling the battle over. Such a shame, one said. The humans seem brave, but bravery means nothing against such odds. Kalthos watched the human ships arrange themselves. They're going to fight. How amusing. Should we offer surrender terms? One of his officers asked. No, Kalthos said. I want them to see what real power looks like. Fire when in range. Destroy them all. The two fleets closed. Space between them shrank from millions of kilometers to thousands. Then hundreds. Then they were in weapons range. All ships fire. Kalthos roared. The Draxian fleet opened up. Thousands of energy beams and missiles screamed across space. The human fleet responded with their own weapons. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. 3 human ships exploded in the first minute. Then 2 more. The Draxians lost only 1. The math was simple and brutal. Across the galaxy, bets were being paid. 3 days was looking optimistic. This might be over in hours. But on the Indomitable, Captain Minho watched his screens calmly. Damage report. 5 ships destroyed. 7 more heavily damaged, Jiwan said. Good, Minho said. Jiwan looked at him sharply. Sir? They think we're desperate. They think this is all we have. Keep fighting. Make it look real. The battle continued. More human ships took damage. But the Draxians noticed something strange. The humans weren't retreating. Ships that should have pulled back kept fighting. A destroyer with half its hull blown away rammed into a Draxian cruiser instead of withdrawing. "Why aren't they running?" a Draxian officer asked. "Because they're fools," Kalthos said. But something in his voice wasn't certain anymore. Then in the asteroid belt behind the Draxian fleet, something happened. Thousands of objects began to power up. What the Draxians had thought were just rocks and ice suddenly showed energy signatures. "Weapon signatures, War Prime," the sensor officer shouted. "Contacts behind us." Thousands of them. Kalthos spun to look at the display. The asteroid belt was lighting up like a city. "What is that?" His question was answered by fire. Railguns opened up first. Solid metal slugs moving at incredible speeds punched through Draxian shields like they weren't there. Missiles followed, swarms of them, each one locked onto a target. Then came the energy weapons, hidden in asteroids, all firing at once. The rear of the Draxian fleet vanished in explosions. "Report," Kalthos screamed. "Rear guard destroyed. 30 ships gone. No, 40, 50. War Prime, they're everywhere." Automated defense drones swarmed out from the belt. Thousands of small, fast attack craft, each carrying enough firepower to hurt a cruiser. They moved like insects, overwhelming the Draxian point defenses. "How did we not see this?" Kalthos demanded. "They were powered down, disguised as mining equipment," his sensor officer said, his voice shaking. "War Prime, they've militarized their entire outer system." On Earth, in the command center, General Yuna watched the battle unfold. Phase 2, now. Behind Earth's moon, engines fired. Admiral Deho's reserve fleet had been hidden there, powered down, waiting. 300 ships, larger and more advanced than the ones at Mars. They had been painted black, made to blend with space, wrapped in stealth technology. The Council had no idea they existed. Now they came alive. "All ships, attack formation," Deho ordered. "Target their command vessels. Hit them hard." The reserve fleet accelerated toward the Draxian armada from behind. The Draxians were now surrounded. The small fleet at Mars in front, the automated defenses in the belt on one side, and Deho's fleet behind. Kalthos finally understood. "It's a trap. This whole thing was a trap." "Orders?" his tactical officer asked desperately. Kalthos's mind raced. They still outnumbered the humans. They could still win. But the confidence was gone. "All ships, defensive formation. Focus fire on those new vessels." But the humans weren't fighting like the Draxians expected. There was no honor in their tactics, no fair combat. Damaged human ships rammed into Draxian vessels before exploding. Small attack drones sacrificed themselves to take out larger targets. The humans used debris as weapons, firing destroyed ship parts at Draxian hulls. Commander Jiwan coordinated the Mars fleet, watching patterns. "They're trying to regroup. Don't let them. Stay scattered, stay fast." Captain Minho's ship shook from another hit. "Damage?" "Portside compromised. Weapons at 60%. "Good enough," Minho said. "Target that carrier. All weapons." The Indomitable and 3 other human ships focused their fire on a massive Draxian carrier. Its shields held for a moment, then failed. The ship began to break apart. Across the battlefield, similar scenes repeated. The Draxians were better armed and armored, but the humans fought like nothing they had ever seen. No retreat, no mercy, just constant, brutal pressure. Admiral Deho's flagship fired a full broadside into a Draxian battleship. "Target their command frequencies. Jam everything. I want them blind and confused." Electronic warfare swept across the battlefield. The Draxian fleet lost coordination. Ships couldn't communicate effectively. Formation fell apart. On the galactic feeds, silence had fallen. Commentators had stopped talking. They just watched in shock as the human forces systematically dismantled the Draxian armada. Elder Soren watched from the council chamber. Others had gathered there to view the battle. No one spoke. They had expected a massacre. They were seeing one, but not the one they had predicted. "Impossible," someone whispered. "They're winning," another said. "How?" a third asked. "How are they doing this?" High Chancellor Vrex watched the tactical display, his multiple eyes blinking rapidly. The humans had prepared for this. Not just prepared, they had planned it. For months, maybe years, they had let the Draxians declare war, let them attack, drew them into the perfect killing ground. They wanted this fight, Vrex said quietly. On Kalthos's flagship, alarm screamed. "War Prime, we've lost 200 ships. Another 100 are damaged." "Pull back," Kalthos ordered. "Retreat to the system edge." But pulling back meant turning around, exposing engines, losing formation. The human fleet pressed harder. More Draxian ships died. Then something else appeared on the sensors. Earth's moon was moving. No, not moving. Opening. The entire lunar surface was splitting apart in sections, revealing what was underneath. "What is that?" Kaltos whispered. "Weapons." The moon was a weapon. Massive electromagnetic pulse generators fired. The wave washed over the Draxian fleet. Shields flickered and died. Half the remaining ships went dark, their electronics fried. "Boarding parties launched from human fleet," a Draxian officer reported. "They're targeting our disabled ships." Kalthos watched human boarding craft attached to his vessels. They were going to capture ships, capture technology, capture prisoners. This wasn't just a battle. This was a statement. "War Prime, what are your orders?" Kalthos looked at the tactical display. 200 ships destroyed, another 100 disabled, the rest scattered and disorganized, and the human fleet was still fighting, still pressing, still showing no sign of stopping. They had walked into hell thinking it was a garden. "Send a message to the fleet," Kalthos said, his voice hollow. "Full retreat. Every ship for itself. Get out of this system." The Draxian fleet broke. Ships jumped to faster-than-light travel in random directions, desperate to escape. Some didn't make it, destroyed as they tried to flee. Others left damaged ships behind, abandoning their crews. In 20 minutes it was over. The Draxian armada was gone. What remained was debris and captured vessels. Captain Minho sat back in his chair, exhausted. "Casualty report. 15 ships destroyed, 20 damaged, approximately 3,000 casualties, 3,000 dead." Minho closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them. "And the Draxians?" 400 ships destroyed or captured. Estimated casualties around 200,000. On Earth, General Yuna received the same report. She had won. But 3,000 of her people were dead. Victory always had a price. "Send a message to the Council," she said quietly. "The battle is over. Earth remains free." The battle wasn't over. War Prime Kalthos had ordered retreat, but he hadn't ordered surrender. Nearly 100 Draxian ships remained in the system, too damaged to jump to faster-than-light travel. They drifted among the debris, trying to repair their engines, desperate to escape, but Kalthos himself was done running. His pride wouldn't allow it. His flagship still had weapons. His honor demanded he finish what he started. "All remaining ships," he broadcast. "Reform on my position. We will punch through to their homeworld. If we are to die, we die with glory." 63 ships answered the call. They gathered around his flagship, forming one last formation. Battered, bleeding, but still deadly. On Earth, General Yuna watched them regroup on her screens. "They're not leaving. Some ships are too damaged to jump," an officer reported. "But Kalthos's flagship is operational. He's heading for Earth." Yuna felt a cold anger rise in her chest. "He wants to hurt us, even if it costs him everything." "Orders, General?" "Let them come," Yuna said. "Captain Minho, Admiral Deho, pull back." "Let them through." "General?" Minho's voice came over the communication channel, confused. "Pull back," Yuna repeated. "I want them to reach Earth." The human fleets parted, creating a corridor. The Draxian ships accelerated, moving toward the blue planet. On the galactic feeds, confusion erupted. Why are the humans retreating? Are they giving up? Maybe Earth has no planetary defenses? In the council chamber, Elder Soren leaned forward. "No, this is another trap." The Draxian ships approached Earth's moon. That's when they saw it clearly for the first time. The entire lunar surface had opened up, revealing the massive installation underneath. It wasn't just weapons. It was a fortress. Centuries of human paranoia and preparation hidden in plain sight. "Fire everything," Kalthos roared. But before his weapons could launch, the moon fired first. The electromagnetic pulse hit his fleet like a hammer. Every ship went dark instantly. Engines died. Weapons died. Life support barely functioned. They drifted helpless toward Earth. "This is Captain Minho to Draxian flagship." A voice came over the emergency channel. "Prepare to be boarded. Resist and you will be destroyed. Surrender and you will be treated according to galactic law." Kalthos sat in his dark bridge, breathing hard. His crew looked to him for orders. But what could he say? They had lost completely, utterly. "Stand down," he finally said. "Let them come." Human boarding craft attached to his flagship. Soldiers in powered armor cut through the hull. Within minutes, they had secured the bridge. Captain Minho himself walked in, helmet under his arm. He looked at Kalthos. The Draxian leader was twice his size, covered in battle scars, a legendary warrior. Minho was just a man. Average height. Average build. But he walked like he owned the ship now. War Prime Kalthos, Minho said. You are now a prisoner of Earth. Kalthos said nothing. What was there to say? Back at the council station, an emergency session had been called. Every species representative was there. No one was laughing now. High Chancellor Vrex stood at the podium. We have all seen the battle. The Draxian fleet has been defeated. Earth has won. He paused. We must now discuss what this means. A small alien near the front stood up. How? How did they do this? They have only been in space for 30 years. Before anyone could answer, the main screen activated. A human face appeared, Dr. Junho, Earth's xenoanthropologist. He had requested to address the council. Honored council members, Junho began. I believe I can answer that question. Vrex gestured for him to continue. You look at humanity and you see a young species. New to space, new to galactic politics, and you assume that means we are new to everything. Junho's expression was serious. But you are wrong. We are not new to war. We are very, very old at war. The screen behind him changed, showing images from Earth's history. Battles. Thousands of them. Spanning thousands of years, this is the Battle of Marathon. 2,500 years ago. This is Waterloo. 200 years ago. This is the First World War. Just over a century ago. More images flashed by. This is the Second World War. This is Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, the Resource Wars. The council watched in silence. In the last 100 years alone, Earth has seen over 40 major conflicts. We have fought with swords, guns, tanks, aircraft, and nuclear weapons. We have nearly destroyed our own planet 3 times. Not from invasion. From fighting each other. A female alien in the back row spoke up. You fight your own species? Constantly, Junho said. We have been at war with ourselves for our entire recorded history. Do you understand what that means? It means we know war intimately. We know how to kill. We know how to destroy. We have spent 10,000 years perfecting it. He brought up more data. The Draxians brought 500 ships. Impressive. Earth produced over 100,000 military aircraft during our Second World War alone. In 4 years. With technology that is primitive compared to what we have now. The council stirred uncomfortably. When we joined the galactic community 30 years ago, we saw all of you with your weapons and fleets, and we realized something. You have rules for war, traditions, honor codes. You fight in formations. You have weapons you don't use because they are unfair or dishonorable. Junho leaned forward. We have none of that. On Earth, the only rule is win. We use every advantage, every tactic. We turn anything we can into a weapon. Our moon, we made it a fortress. Our asteroid belt, a minefield. Our entire solar system, a trap. This is barbaric, someone said. Yes, Junho agreed. It is, but it is effective. Elder Soren spoke up. Dr. Junho, why did you hold back? Why not use this power before? Because we don't want to be conquerors, Junho said. When we joined the council, we made a choice. We chose to be peaceful, to learn from other species, to grow beyond our violent past. But that doesn't mean we forgot how to fight. It just means we chose not to. He paused. War Prime Kalthos thought our peace was weakness. He thought because we didn't show our weapons, we didn't have weapons. He was wrong. Our peace was a choice, and when that choice was taken from us, we remembered everything we had tried to leave behind. The screen changed again, showing footage from the battle. Human ships ramming Draxian vessels, debris being used as weapons. The sheer brutality of the tactics. You asked how we won, Junho said. We won because we have been fighting wars since before we had fire. We won because survival has been bred into us for 1,000,000 years. We won because the Draxians brought warriors to fight killers. The chamber was silent. But, Junho continued, his voice softening, we do not want to be killers. We want to be better than that. Which is why Earth is not pressing its advantage. We are not invading Draxian space. We are not demanding tribute. We are simply asking to be left alone. And if you are not left alone, Vrex asked quietly. Junho's expression hardened. Then the galaxy will learn that this battle was us being gentle. The transmission ended. The council sat in shocked silence. Finally, a delegate from a peaceful species stood. We cannot allow this. The humans are too dangerous. They should be restricted, limited. Limited how? Elder Soren asked. They just destroyed a force that outnumbered them 10-1. What makes you think we could enforce any restrictions? Then what do we do? Soren looked at the empty screen where Junho's face had been. We accept them, fully, not as newcomers or children, as equals, as dangerous equals. On Earth, General Yuna walked through the command center. The battle was over. Cleanup had begun. Ships were being recovered. Prisoners were being processed. The dead were being counted. 3,000 humans had died. She had their names, their faces, their families, every one of them. General, an officer approached. The council is requesting a formal meeting. They want to discuss Earth's status. Yuna nodded. Tell them we'll send representatives. But make it clear, we are not asking for permission. We are informing them of our decisions. What decisions? Earth will maintain its defenses. We will continue to build our fleet. We will protect our territory. And if anyone threatens us again, we will respond the same way. Yuna looked at the officer. We tried peace. We tried diplomacy. We warned them. They chose war. Now they know what that means. In his cell on the captured Draxian flagship, War Prime Kalthos sat alone. Human guards stood outside, but they didn't mock him. They treated him with quiet respect. Somehow that was worse than mockery. A human officer entered. It was Commander Jiwon. War Prime, she said. You have a communication request. From your home world. Kalthos looked up. I have nothing to say to them. They want to know what happened. How you lost. Kalthos laughed bitterly. Tell them the truth. Tell them we attacked a species we didn't understand. Tell them the humans have been fighting wars since before our ancestors crawled out of their spawning pools. Tell them... He trailed off. Tell them what? Jiwon asked. Tell them that we met a species that chose peace not because they were weak, but because they were too dangerous to do anything else. And we were too stupid to understand the difference. Jiwon nodded and left. Kalthos sat back staring at the ceiling. He had been a warrior for 60 years. He had conquered planets. He had never lost a battle. Until he met humanity. Until he learned that some species are peaceful because they have nothing to prove. They already know they are dangerous. The galaxy was learning that lesson now, and it would not forget. The council chamber was full again. Every species had sent their representatives. This time no one was laughing. No one was making bets. They were all watching the podium where Ambassador Heejin stood. She looked different than she had a week ago. More tired, but also stronger. She wore a black suit with a small pin on her collar, the flag of Earth. Behind her, Councillor Taman stood silently. High Chancellor Vrex spoke first. Ambassador Heejin, Councillor Taman, the Council recognizes Earth. You have requested this session. Please proceed. Heejin stepped forward. Thank you, Chancellor. I will be brief. The war with the Draxian Empire is over. The battle lasted 72 hours. Of the 500 Draxian ships that entered our system, 400 were destroyed or captured. 100 escaped. She let that sink in. 400 ships. The number hung in the air like smoke. Earth's casualties were 3,000 dead, 12,000 wounded. 15 ships destroyed, 20 damaged. 0 civilian casualties. How? Someone in the crowd asked. How is that possible? Because we prepared, Heejin said simply. We knew this was coming. 3 months ago, our intelligence intercepted Draxian communications planning the invasion. We could have brought this information to the council. We could have asked for help, she paused. We chose not to, Vrex leaned forward. Why? Taman stepped up beside Heejin. Because the council needed to make a choice. We knew that if we asked for help, some of you might have voted to assist us. Others would have refused. But the important thing was the choice itself. I don't understand, a delegate said. Earth wanted to know how the council would respond when a member was threatened, Taman explained. Would you help? Would you stand by? Would you abandon us? The answer was important. Not for this war, but for the future. Elder Soren understood. You were testing us. Yes, Heejin admitted. And you failed. 612 species voted for non-interference. You decided we were on our own. That's fine. But now you know that if Earth is on its own, Earth will do whatever is necessary to survive. The chamber erupted in protests. This is outrageous. You manipulated us. You let us think you were weak. We never said we were weak, Taman said, his voice cutting through the noise. You assumed. You saw a young species and decided we were helpless. We warned the Draxians. We tried diplomacy. We offered peace. They chose war. And when they attacked, you all chose to watch. Hyejin pulled up a holographic display. This is footage from the battle. The images played across the chamber. Draxian ships being destroyed. Human tactics. The lunar fortress. The hidden fleet. The asteroid defenses. Some of you are frightened now, Hyejin said. You see what we're capable of and you worry. Good, you should worry. Because this is what happens when you underestimate us. Is that a threat? A nervous voice asked. No, Hyejin said firmly. It's a statement of fact. Earth does not want war. We do not want to conquer anyone. We simply want to exist peacefully. But if someone threatens us again, they will face the same response. We will defend ourselves with every weapon we have. Vrex stood up. Ambassador, the Council must discuss this. Your actions, while understandable, have created a situation we have never faced before. What situation? Taman asked. A young species with the military power to challenge the oldest empires, Vrex said. This changes everything. Then everything needed to change, Taman replied. The Council has grown comfortable, safe. You have rules and traditions because you have forgotten what real war looks like. Earth remembers. We live with it every day. And maybe that's what the galaxy needs, a reminder that peace is not guaranteed. It must be protected. Elder Soren floated forward. Counselor Taman, what does Earth want? Taman looked at him. Earth wants recognition. True recognition, not as newcomers or children, as equals. We want a permanent seat on the Security Council. We want the right to defend our territory as we see fit, and we want the other species to understand that attacking us is not an option. That sounds like you want special treatment, someone objected. We want fair treatment, Hyejin corrected. The Draxians have conquered 40 systems and the Council did nothing. They declared war on us and the Council did nothing. But when we defend ourselves successfully, suddenly there are concerns about our military power? That's not fair. That's hypocrisy. Rex was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. The Council will vote on Earth's requests. But first I want to ask you something, Ambassador. What will you do if we refuse? Hyejin met his eyes. We will remain members of the Council. We will follow the laws and treaties we agreed to, but we will also remember who stood with us and who didn't. And when other species ask Earth for help in the future, we will remember this moment. It was a diplomatic answer, but the message was clear. Earth would not forget being abandoned. The vote was called. Should Earth receive a permanent Security Council position? Should they be recognized as a major power? The debate lasted 3 hours. Species after species spoke. Some argued that Earth was too dangerous. Others said that Earth had proven themselves. A few simply said they were too scared to say no. Finally, the vote came. 423 in favor, 298 against, 126 abstained. Earth had won. Again. Hyejin and Taman sat in their quarters after the session, exhausted. We did it, Hyejin said quietly. Yes, Taman replied. But at what cost? 3,000 lives, Hyejin said. And now the galaxy fears us. Fear can lead to respect, Taman said. And respect can lead to real peace. Or it can lead to more war, Hyejin countered. Other species will want to test us, to see if we're really as strong as we claim. Then we'll deal with that when it happens, Taman said. For now we've bought Earth time. Time to grow. Time to prepare. Time to become what we need to be. On the Draxian homeworld, the news had arrived. The great invasion fleet was destroyed. The war prime was captured. The Empire had been humiliated. The government met in emergency session, trying to decide what to do. One young Draxian scholar sat in the military archives reading. He had been ordered to study the humans, to understand them, to find their weakness. But the more he read, the more disturbed he became. Human history was one long chain of conflicts. Wars over territory, wars over resources, wars over ideas. They had fought with sticks and stones, then with metal and fire, then with aircraft and tanks, then with nuclear weapons. They had nearly destroyed themselves multiple times, and through it all they had survived. They had learned. They had adapted. They had become very, very good at killing. The scholar read about something called the World Wars. In just 6 years, the humans had killed over 60 million of their own species. 60 million. The entire Draxian population was only 5 billion. The humans had killed more of themselves in one war than some species had in total population. How did they survive? The scholar whispered to himself. How did they not go extinct? But he knew the answer. They survived because they were adaptable, because they learned from every conflict, because they never gave up no matter how bad things got. The scholar closed the files and wrote his report. The conclusion was simple: do not fight the humans ever. On Earth, things slowly returned to normal. The underground cities emptied as civilians returned to the surface. The fleet began repairs. Families mourned their dead. Life continued. General Una stood at a memorial service. 3,000 names were carved into stone. 3,000 people who had died protecting their world. She read each name silently, committing them to memory. General, someone approached. It was Captain Minho. His arm was in a sling, but he was alive. Captain, Una acknowledged. The prisoners are being processed. War Prime Kalthos is asking to speak with you. Una considered. Why? He says he wants to understand. To know why we fought the way we did. Una nodded. Bring him to the command center. Let him see. An hour later, Kalthos stood in chains in the command center. Human guards surrounded him, but he ignored them. He looked at the screens, the maps, the equipment. And he looked at General Una. You planned all of this, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Una replied. For how long? 20 years, Una said. Since we joined the council. We knew eventually someone would challenge us. So we prepared. Kalthos shook his head. 20 years. You built all those defenses. Hid that fleet. Turned your moon into a weapon. All while pretending to be peaceful. We weren't pretending, Una said. We are peaceful. But we're not stupid. Peace only works if you're strong enough to defend it. Where did you learn to fight like that? Kalthos asked. Those tactics. That ruthlessness. Una pulled up a screen. It showed images from Earth's history. Ancient battles. Medieval sieges. Modern warfare. We learned from ourselves. From 10,000 years of fighting each other. Every trick, every tactic, every terrible lesson. We learned it all the hard way. Kalthos stared at the images. Your own species did that to each other? Yes, but you survived. Yes, how? Una looked at him. Because we're stubborn. Because we adapt. Because we never stop fighting when something threatens us. Not our enemies. Not nature. Not even ourselves. Kalthos was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I was a fool. Yes, Una agreed. But you're not the first. And you probably won't be the last. Someone else will see us and think we're weak. Someone else will decide to test us.